Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, although I don't know for how long we're going to be able to pull it off. The internet does look a little sketchy today, so we're going to be going through things fairly effectively and hopefully efficiently for everyone. We're just going to dive in. We're going to take a look at Litecoin and Bitcoin again. I think one of the interesting standards here is kind of trying to take a look at how the two effectively work with and against each other. With that in mind, let's hope that the stream stays continuous and your road is a long one. Boom, so we've got Facebook on the current 5-minute chart here. It's always fun to watch the little bitty itty gritty movements that takes place. I think it's exciting. I don't suggest anyone really ever watch the 5-minute chart unless you're actively trading or learning. I think you can do so much just by watching and learning. You obviously don't really get a full experience of the process until you have, as Nassim Taleb calls, skin in the game. I think it's important to have that mentality of putting a little bit in. So we'd realized this earlier that, for instance, like my little brother, right? He's 19 years old and he's been asking me the last few months, oh, should I buy Bitcoin now? Should I buy Bitcoin now? And it took me a little bit of time to come to the conclusion and the understanding that the average person probably should just be buying a little bit at a time so that they can understand and get some skin in the game, actually become invested in this space. Now, the reason why I think that's so important is because on average, people just don't go through the process of educating themselves. For instance, you can learn anything you want to learn on YouTube, but most people don't. You want to make $100,000 a year? Ask YouTube. You can learn how to do it, doing almost anything. You can learn how to sell Smurfs and make that much money every year. Anyways, the point of this is, there's a lot of aggregate content that you can get for free, but until you're invested, then it doesn't really work for you. One of the reasons why we charge for the monthly newsletter in the Bear Den is because then we get people that are actually invested in the process of learning instead of someone who just wants to be told what to do. It's an effective form of understanding your space in the market and how the market fluctuates around you. So right now, obviously we've been trying to break out past this resistance 9,400. As you can see here on the 5-minute, when we hit both times that we've hit the $9,300 area between 9,360 and 9,400, we came dropping back down quite quickly. There's actually a large amount of sell volume, as you can see down in the bottom of the screen here. Now, I do apologize if the internet is a little rough and bumpy. I don't know what's going on in the jungle, so I will keep this short today. But again, some of you in the private Bear Den were asking about Litecoin and whether Litecoin was a good investment. And this whole like, oh, Litecoin is the right coin thing. I like Big Sweer. I like all these guys. I love everyone that's actually a proponent of the blockchain and Bitcoin space. I think we all need to be working together. But my form and function here with Litecoin is Litecoin is only twice has it in the past, and that's pre-2014, has it gone up between 20,000 Satoshis and higher. So the likelihood of Litecoin breaking out past that again actually decreases the more time we spend below it. So we've actually spent more time below that range, so it's more likely that we'll spend even more time again below that range. Kind of a difficult concept to understand when you're coming from the outside, but it's important to keep an eye on these two because of the way they move together. Now, we'd actually been hoping for a cup and handle situation, and we still may get it, although it definitely looks like there was a lot of exhaustion on the way to try to reach the top of the cup and handle as Bitcoin just took over and basically demolished the price of Litecoin. But when you get into the minutia of it, the like small moment-to-moment basis, what you see is that there's almost a direct correlation between Bitcoin's price, obviously, and Litecoin's price. And this is what's important to me here, and it's why I don't chart anything in US dollars. I think this standard of charting inside of the Bitcoin space is going to become unanimous throughout the ecosystem, and anyone who's charting in US dollars is basically getting fucked, and they don't realize it. It's very easy to see that your US dollar account might have gone up, but now you've lost a half a Bitcoin or something ridiculous. And I think it's important to note that Litecoin has never outperformed Bitcoin, at least in the long-term aggregate. As a matter of fact, in the short term, it's been very volatile to the upside. We saw from our previous okay, so everyone in the private Bear Den got this beautiful, not a call, but it was basically a signal of the equal cross that took place right here we rode it up for almost a 30% gain, and then we had this mass. Everyone was selling at around 17,000, everywhere between 17,000 and 17,500 flat, pretty much. Everyone was exiting because on the downside potential, you have all of a sudden this big drop of 16% in terms of Litecoin versus Bitcoin. So even though you were up for a moment, just within a few days period, all those gains were washed away. Anyways, I want to keep this video short because it does appear that the internet is going quite horrible for today. I'm just going to do more updates with the vlog, just in case. We'll probably try to do 2 videos a day. One little live update video where we go over some of your guys' questions, we look at the charts, and then another one where I'm doing a little bit more ranting and talking about the space. We're out in the, I'll probably take the camera out. I know a lot of you guys have been telling me you want to see more of the jungle, and you don't really get it in the house. Like I have to like show you that I live in the world or something. You know, it's like this is a fairly static area and environment. So we're going to be going outside a lot more often for you guys as well. So I want to take a look really quickly at, actually no, we'll just leave it at that. I do want to keep it short again today just because I know the internet isn't as stable as it should be. But again, the key point that I wanted to answer, because a few guys have been asking in the private members area, and it's not a short answer, is that in a 6-day period here with Litecoin, you saw a 30% move, right? That's great if you'd moved back into Bitcoin, but if you didn't, you saw at least half of that price wiped out in a matter of 5 days. This is why I use Litecoin almost as a leverage bet against Bitcoin. If you actually throw them up on the chart here side by side, it's very easy to see their their independence of one another. The good thing about Litecoin though is you're not likely going to get wiped out in a trade. So even though you might be losing, you'll essentially never get wiped out, which is hugely important to understand. So here we see on the 13th of Bitcoin's price, right? So let's, I mean, you can chart these side by side. So here on the 13th, at the exact previous low of Bitcoin at around 7,900 before we took off, this on Bitcoin represented a 17% move upwards, right? So between the 12th of June, we saw a 17% move up in Bitcoin. So if you had sold the top of Litecoin here and then rode Bitcoin up to the top again, not only did you acquire more Bitcoin, but now your US dollar account is significantly higher as well. Anyways, it's extremely important to watch this stuff because I think a lot of traders get caught up in being like, oh yeah, you're married to an idea like, yeah, Litecoin's going to be the ultimate winner in terms of gains, but there's no evidence for that. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. Litecoin has shown a very strong, stable relationship between Bitcoin over its lifespan, somewhere between the 20,000 and around the 20,000 Satoshi mark, down anywhere near to the 12 to 13,000 Satoshi mark. So again, in the long term, it's not, hodling Litecoin isn't necessarily going to do you better. It will look great in your US dollar account, but if you ignore Bitcoin's prices, you're ignoring the whole point of this game, I think. So anyways, again, this is why Litecoin's price, since early data of 2013, has never broken out of this trend. And because of that, it actually gives us it's been in a lower version of that trend for longer, so even more likely that it will continue to stay in that trend. It's one of these odd things that we realize that if you're 40 years old already, it's likely that you'll live another 40 years because you've already been successful at doing it for the first 40. Anyways, we're going to leave it at that because I can see the internet's blipping in and out, and I hate when that happens because I know you guys aren't getting a lot of what I'm saying. Give us those thumbs up if you like this content. I will be on with a vlog today. So the question is, why is this Bitcoin's last stand? It's last stand versus all cryptos. I was actually going to get a little bit more in depth into that rant, but because I don't, the internet's blipping in and out, I don't want it to get cut off. So I might save it for a later rant. So we'll have to excuse the internet. I don't want it to get cut out and lose some of the topic material, so we'll go from there. Thank you guys for all supporting us, even though we go through some blippy internet times. I really appreciate it. This is one of the things you get for living in the middle of the jungle, so there's not a whole lot we can do about it other than just be grateful for your guys' support and patience with us. With that in mind, again, remember to share the videos. Actually, apparently more than liking or commenting, YouTube just wants you to share the video. So if you can, share the videos. Again, I'm going to work more on vlogs, it seems, as the rainy season rolls. It's the internet is a little bit more flippy floppy, and even though I have 2 right now, neither of them are working at speed. So anyways, we're signing off. and we're going to do a vlog instead to go over some of the other stuff that's in the news, and hopefully I can explain more of I guess ideas against the whole blockchain space in relationship to one another. I think anti-fragility requires all of them. Anyways, we'll save it for the next video. Thank you guys all for joining us. Blah!